Hi, Glenn Phillips here with Lake Homes Realty and lakehomes.com. It's not uncommon, particularly in recent economic uncertainty, for people to ask me, how do interest rates influence lake real estate? They'll say, man, I bet that's making it hard for lake real estate. And actually there's some surprises. And I want to cover those today real quickly. Whether you're buying or selling, you want to know why real estate interest rates are a little different creature. So first off, when real estate transactions are made, when people buy lake homes, over half those transactions are cash. So the need and drive of mortgage rates doesn't influence a large number of the buyers of lake real estate. This is a discretionary purchase. People don't have to buy a lake home for shelter, so it puts them into a different financial situation. They also, when they do this, if they do make a mortgage, they're typically in a better situation financially to be able to secure that. And that leads me to a sub-item of these limited mortgages. Tends to be an older, more mature buyer for a lake real estate, and they often have existing relationships with lenders and people who go through the process. They don't need a lot of instruction of how do I get a mortgage, how do I get things in line. Another interesting anomaly, though, is we look at lake real estate across the country where we operate. It's more likely that there will be a mortgage for a lake home in a suburban environment than a rural environment. Why is that? Well, what we believe is the suburban home is more likely to be a primary residential home, and they happen to have spent extra to be on the water. That type of property is far more likely to have a mortgage than in a rural environment where it's a retirement, it's investment, it's a second home, and those buyers tend to be more likely to do cash. And a mortgage may not be quite as appealing if it's for a second home. It's doable, but just not necessarily as appealing. So that's an interesting anomaly of where these take place. But in any event, getting a mortgage for these buyers is typically not an issue. Very few of the transactions fall through because lender disapproval of a mortgage of a buyer. Another thing that's interesting about these buyers is they have, because they're in a good financial situation, they have preferred credit. They're not going to have a high-risk mortgage where they're trying to get in that first-time home and they're pinching every penny. So even when interest rates go up, they're going to be in a better position than many borrowers if they decide to do a mortgage. In fact, when interest rates were crazy low, we actually had cash buyers across the country who got mortgages at super low interest rates because they felt that if inflation took off, it would actually be a hedge against inflation, and that they could de-risk the deal by actually, if interest rates stayed low but the inflation went way high, they were covered, and if inflation didn't take off, they could just use cash and pay off the loan, and then they didn't even have interest anymore. So it was de-risked. It was actually an interesting play, and that shows the mindset of buyers for lake real estate and how they think about money, which means they also think of it as an investment hedge. As there's uncertainty from interest rates increase, as the Federal Reserve's wanting to try to slow down the economy, that impacts stock and other investments. And so there are consumers who are looking to feel, what do I do with my money, my investment? And they may want to take cash and put it into lake real estate. They're going to buy smart. They're not going to spend stupid. They want to get a good return because they're thinking with an investment mindset. But when interest rates go up and the economy starts to be uncertain, lake real estate's actually a smart investment for many people who are trying to figure out, where do I put this capital? And you use the lake property, enjoy it, and then it's still investment you can get your money back out of, and maybe with a profit. And then the last thing where interest rates influence lake real estate, though, is mindset. When you see headlines over and over that talk about interest rates have gone up and this is squeezing buyers, squeezing sellers, that does trickle over into lake real estate indirectly for those consumers, buyers or sellers of lake property who are not paying attention that lake real estate just functions differently. But it still can influence them, because when there seems to be economic turmoil, there are a segment of the population that tends to go, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. So it's very interesting. The interest rate increases do not directly impact the lake home buyer, but may indirectly affect their behavior and in making them a little more conservative about what they would pay for a home, even if they're paying cash. It's a very interesting topic of how interest rates and our mindsets work, but whether you're buying or selling lake real estate, keep this in mind. Also, be sure to visit us at lakehomes.com, where we have thousands of properties across the country that are for sale at lakes, big and small. And even if you're thinking of selling, you can get an understanding of our market, or contact one of our local real estate agents who is an expert in lake real estate, who can guide you through not only how the buyers of lake real estate work, but how you can maximize getting a return on your investment. Thank you and have a great day. For more information, be sure to check out lakehomes.com.